Yep. Okay, Year 11, so we're doing an investigation into the properties of water, and we'll be looking particularly at surface tension, adhesion, cohesion and viscosity. So what we'd like you to do is to set up your prac book and with an aim and a method and then some background knowledge. And what I want you to do in the background knowledge is just to define surface tension, adhesion, cohesion and viscosity so that you know those terms and what they mean. What we'd like you to then do is to cut out each experiment and stick it in your prac book and then write the results underneath with an explanation so that you've got each experiment with its explanation. So the first task here in experiment 1, we want you to put a drop of water onto different surfaces. So what we're looking for is whether the water is sticking to itself, which is cohesion, or whether it's sticking or going through the wood or onto the glass, and what it's doing. So you'll place the drop onto the different surfaces and then you'll observe the shape of the drop of water. The next experiment, number 2, involves looking at surface tension, and basically you'll count the number of drops that can fit onto a 5-cent piece. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but you see and record how many drops of water can fit on. Then you'll do the same experiment with water and detergent, and then you'll do the same experiment again with methylated spirits, which of course is a mixture of ethanol and methanol. With your explanations for each prac as you're going, we'd like you to explain why those things are occurring. So you're going to be talking about hydrogen bonding and the bonds between water molecules themselves and the bonds that exist between the molecules of water and the molecules inside the substance. So for example, the silicon dioxide, what sort of bonding is in that? The wood. Talking about cellulose, so cellulose has lots of oxygen, so there's going to be lots of hydrogen bonding happening there. Alright, the third one is we add the paper clips to the test tube of water. So you're going to see the lump on top and you fill up the test tube until there's no more can fit, and then you're simply going to drop as many paper clips in as you can before the water overflows, and you record that. The next experiment is number 4, and we've got celery here inside some food dye, some red dye, and what you're going to do is you're going to cut a thin slice of celery, and you're going to observe and make an observation of what you see in the celery. The other thing you can see is that some of the tissue in the leaves is also discoloured, and we want an explanation of what is going on there. So biology students, you can also be thinking about the forces of adhesion and cohesion and what is happening in those xylem tubes to get the water up through the plant. Okay, number 4, that is number 4. Number 5 is uses this apparatus here with a piece of wax paper. We've drawn 2 lines, and what we're going to time is how long the drop of honey or oil or glycerol or water, or there's a number of substances that are outlined on your sheet, and we want to time how long the liquid takes to get between the 2 lines. So for example, if I just plop a drop of glycerol there, you can see that glycerol is going to be very sticky, so it's a very viscous substance, whereas if I get some water, we'll see that the water actually runs down much quicker, okay, before it sticks to the wax. So we're going to be doing a number of experiments. You can also line all the drops up and do them all together so that it's a race, and you can see that. Okay, the last one, you're going to make a little aluminium boat. So I've just made a shape, a sort of U-shape, very simple boat, and I'm going to place it at one end of the water here, and then I'm going to drop a drop of detergent onto there. Now I'm not going to show you what happens, but you will do that. So you'll place the drop of detergent just there in the gap, and you'll see and explain what happens. Okay, so what we want to be thinking about is what forces are pulling or pushing on the aluminium boat. When we add the detergent, what does that do to the water at where you've added the detergent, and try and explain that. It's quite a tricky one, so that's fun, but it's also tricky to explain. Okay, so in your discussions for each little prac, we're talking about cohesion, adhesion, surface tension and viscosity, what they are and how the water molecule, being polar, operates, and let's explain what happens there. Okay.